Welcome, everybody. We'll take attendance shortly. I guess I know a good number of you. I'm Irv Rockwood with the Sandy Pond School Association, which is a very old organization. We've been around now for 116 years this year. All volunteers. Owned the Schoolhouse since 1908 when they paid $1 for it. And it kept it going ever since. And today what we're actually celebrating is the fact that the building is now going to be reopened on a regular basis. There's restoration work. There's more that can be done, but what has been done is to make sure we can have this building open on a regular basis. I'm going to briefly introduce Senator Eldridge because he probably doesn't need much of an introduction to most of you. He's been in the state senate since I was going to say 1908.
You look great. At 100 years.
Yeah, right. 2009, I believe, is closer.
Right.
And in a way, it's kind of the story of what we do. We're going to stay here in Middlesex County and involved in local activities for a very long time. And I will say one thing, a personal note about Senator Eldridge, he runs a really neat office, a really efficient office, because I have never once had to ask a question twice of his office. And he's been a great supporter of the school. And Senator Eldridge, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Very kind words. And I remember being here in 2019 when we were kicking off the renovation of the schoolhouse, and I know we were hoping that would be renovated a lot sooner than what happened. Obviously, to all of us was COVID, and I know there's been some increased costs since. But I'm just so honored to be here for the celebration of the opening of the Sandy Pond Schoolhouse. Great to be here with Representative Dan Cena, with Janice Livingston, member of the Ayer Select Board, and so many members of the Sandy Pond School Association that worked so hard for this renovation. And I'm very proud to say that in a number of my other towns, there also are the preservations of these one-room schoolhouses, including in Boxborough, including in Sudbury, and it's just a reminder, first of all, of what education used to be, but also it sort of highlights the fact that, of course, in Massachusetts, you know, we're a leader in the nation. We were the first state to guarantee public school, to essentially guarantee education as a right, and in building these schoolhouses in communities, of course, across Massachusetts. So it's a reminder of the importance of education here. It's also, of course, highlights the critical nature to preserve our history, to remember our past, to learn lessons from the past and what we can do to make improvements to our community, to our society, and historic preservation is so critical to that. I'm very grateful to the town of Ayer for their support for these renovations, and of course there's the Community Preservation Act, which is this state law that I did a lot of work on to pass when I was a legislative aide to former State Senator Bob Duran, who was one of the lead sponsors of the Community Preservation Act, making sure that there was state funding for historic preservation. Because the reality is there really isn't a lot of state funding for historic preservation, and yet it's so important. I think about not just, you know, here in Ayer, a lot of the wonderful history in Ayer, but in Shirley, you know, we've worked to preserve some of the historical buildings related to the former Shaker Village in Shirley. Obviously, preservation efforts also happening in Harvard around some of the historical buildings. So I'm just grateful that Ayer for showing the lead as well, and for the CPA for providing support, some of which comes from the state to highlight that importance. So I'm looking forward to checking out the building. Thank you everybody for being here. Really grateful for all of your support to make this a special day. And I just love the idea of people driving by, you know, hopefully pulling over now that this schoolhouse will be open more often, and having a chance to see what it was like to teach in the 19th century, what was it like to learn in the 19th century, and be grateful for the education we have today. So I do have a citation from the Senate. So Irv, if you want to come up, I can present this to you. And just, Irv, thank you so much for your leadership, your persistence on this. There's not too many people that focus on historic preservation at the local level, so I'm really grateful for your leadership. And I have a Senate citation that says, be it hereby known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations to the Sandy Pond School Association in recognition of the momentous occasion of your 115th year anniversary and the reopening of the Sandy Pond Schoolhouse. Be it known that the Massachusetts Senate extends best wishes for continued success of this schoolhouse. Signed by Senate President Karen Spilka and your state senator and a big fan, Jamie Eldridge. Congratulations. Thank you, Rob.
Our next speaker is Representative Sena, who also runs a really great office because he also gets his
We got that.
every time.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Actually, I have a mini speech here, which I may read, but I represent the 37th Middlesex District, which includes 6 towns. I have Acton, Boxborough, Harvard Ayer, Shirley, and part of Groton. I want to thank Ivory for the invitation. Also, I want to thank the Sand Pond School Association for inviting me to the grand opening of the schoolhouse. I want to thank Senator Eldridge, Janice Livingstone for the Ayer Select Board. This schoolhouse is a testament to the community of Ayer and to our state's long history of education. Well over 100 years ago, young students would come from miles away and sit in this very room behind us, eager to learn, read, write, math, and science, just like our students do today. While the lessons of the time look much different than those taught in schools today, these students were learning the most up-to-date methods of their time, using slate blackboards and sitting in the very desk we see here today, and using probably kerosene for lighting lamps. These students diligently learn their skills of today. And growing with the Commonwealth education in the country, while public education existed in various forms since the 1600s, education was not universally free until the 1820s, and it wasn't compulsory until the 1850s. As one of the first states established in public schools, Massachusetts has always led in many ways, as Senator Eldridge gave some examples earlier. Dating back from the days of Horace Mann, Massachusetts has pushed for education that was equitable, universal, and free of charge. Our leaders believed education to be the difference maker, and they were correct. Looking back at the Sandy Pond Schoolhouse reminds me of how we have come. As an immigrant from Brazil, and education for me, I have a little different experience than my colleagues did. And looking back at my days at Acton Boxborough public school and Middlesex Community College and UMass Amherst, I found it very incredibly fondly. This schoolhouse is a reminder that education is not stagnant, but consistently evolving. I can tell this that my mom was a teacher back in Brazil and taught for 25 years. And I know there's days she probably didn't have childcare, and I was in the classroom with her, and I have those memories of the way she gave her time. And I see teachers as a public servant, and that so well respected position. In honor of the school's 115th anniversary and the great opening, I'm happy to present this citation from the House, and I want to thank everyone for coming to today's celebration. And maybe everyone will come forward again. This citation is signed by Speaker Mariano, myself, on this day of May 18 in 2024. and be hereby known that the Massachusetts House of Representatives offers says congratulations to St. Paul School Association in recognition of your 115th anniversary. Congratulations.
That's wonderful. And of course, the rain is arriving now. All week, the forecast was going to rain, then it wasn't going to rain, and maybe it would rain, then it wasn't going to rain. This morning, the forecast was it would rain at 4 o'clock. I thought, that's the forecast I want.
4 o'clock somewhere.
That was the forecast I wanted, but it doesn't seem to be the one we got. Our next speaker is someone who I came to AIR in 2013, and from my perspective, Janice Livingston is getting that problem has always been on the select board, but it turns out that's when you joined the select board. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Great. I'm delighted to have her here this morning, a select member of a select board, and she's here to give us a few words.
I feel like I'm on top of everybody else. I'm so close. So thank you all for being here. So we take photographs to remember something we have seen or places we have been. We take photographs so that we never forget the faces that have been a part of our lives. We post them for others to share in our joy or sadness. We preserve them because they are part of us. They are part of our story. And that, everyone, is why we're here today. We are here today to honor, learn about, and to continue to preserve a piece of our history. Perhaps this particular building does not have a direct connection to you, but something similar probably does. We are here to tell some of the tall tales we have heard in our lifetime. I had to walk 10 miles each way in 10 feet of snow while a blinding blizzard was going on, and it was uphill both ways. We have in our lifetime heard or said, oh, for the simpler times. But it seems like a silly thing to say. But the very people who lived through those times and attended this school were the ones that said it. It's hard to believe that those times were simple. Yes, certainly the school curriculum was simple. It was the 3 R's: reading, writing, arithmetic. And learning history back then was certainly easier. They had less history to study 100 years ago than we do now. There are some today that would look at the education that was given back then and shake their heads in sadness, which is a great shame. Back then, if someone got to the 8th grade, it was a triumph. And with that education, they built homes, families, community, and even became President of the United States. Through them, their descendants have been able to do better, go further, while saying, I want to make Mom and Pop proud. So who are some of the people that have been associated with a one-room schoolhouse such as this? John Adams taught in one in Boston. He was our 2nd president of the United States. Abraham Lincoln, our 16th president, attended one. Henry Ford, who revolutionized the automotive industry, had his school moved to a museum in Michigan. As late as 1913, half of the country's school children were enrolled in the country's 200,000 one-room schoolhouse. And what about our little schoolhouse? She was a part of Groton before coming a part of AIR. She helped educate children who would help to grow up and form our community. It is because of them that this building was and continues to be preserved. For them, it was their photograph. They saved her. They gathered annually to picnic and reminisce. Their last reunion was approximately 1956, almost 70 years ago. And then, like things do, we walked away and forgot. And she cried. But thankfully, there has always been someone to make sure we remember her. And it is because of that dedication to preserving the past, using it to help teach, that she exists today to pass down her stories. So why should we always preserve her? Because the Sandy Pond Schoolhouse is our pyramid. She has a story to tell. It is important that this is preserved, that we never forget our past, but to remember it, honor it when needed, learn from it so that some things are never repeated, and more importantly, to have a sweet little place to come, to sit, and just chat. The Sandy Pond Schoolhouse reminds us of the simpler days. The days before Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, cell phones that we treat like they are oxygen. These simpler days were people who gathered, learned, played games together, laughed, and cried. Thankfully, the town of Air has stood tall in saying, yes, we like her and we want to preserve her. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why we are here today, to celebrate a job well done. So pat yourself on the back, because all of you, in one way or another, have helped restore her. And I do believe she's smiling.
And thank you all for being here. We have some more things to happen today. We're going to have some music in a little bit, and it will be out here. There are going to be a series of talks inside the schoolhouse. There'll be about 4, and then I'll give one of them. We have a very interesting occasion here today. We have Mary Jane Blasio here to speak about Louisa Coote, who was a teacher.
And she has also 2 other books.
Yes. So we have a family here who is descended from a teacher of Sandy Pond School.
Oh, wow.
And we have
And also
of
my great-grandfather
yes, Charlie.
and grandfather
Yeah.
attended school here.
Yeah.
And then worked hard, my grandfather worked hard for the association to preserve the school.
Right. So there's a bit of local history coming together here on this occasion, this day. We're going to hear a little bit about that in one of the talks. Mary Jane's going to tell us a little bit about Louisa Coote's experience teaching at Sandy Pond School. She's transcribed large portions of her diary, and I'm really looking forward to hearing about that. We're going to have Susan Feynman here to talk about single-room schoolhouses, and I'll give a little talk on how the restoration, how that actually worked out. In the end, it did work out. And we'll be free to wander through the building and take a look at things and chat as you wish. And there's a little bit of food out here, and there'll be a little bit of music as well. So thank you for coming. I wish we had more sunshine, but this is what we have.